Right, Kev, what's happening?
Not a great deal, mate. Not a great deal. A bit of positivity. I'm actually feeling a little bit dirty for it all. But anyway, there we go.
I know. Massive win away from home, and it just helps us against Dundee as well. They're firmly on the bad guy list for everything that they've
100%.
done. So
Yep.
it's good. And yeah, as you say, it's been an interesting sort of last few weeks. And what's that? 7 points off third place.
Aye, bit crazy. Just shows you how much of a similarity there is amongst the teams across the majority of the Premier League. But I'm glad it's 7 points, no 17, as it was earlier in the season. And from that point of view, we can start clawing hopefully some points back.
Aye, bit of crazy turn of events, especially, I don't know if you would say in November that Hearts and Hibs would be right up there going for Europe. You would be probably took out back in shot. So, aye.
It's one way of looking at it.
But aye, welcome back to This Is My Story podcast. Just me and Kev tonight, with the other two are too negative for a 6-0 win, to be honest. So get the two positive boys in for it.
Well, let's not go on and push it too far, mate. You maybe. I can still be negative nanny, that's for sure.
Yeah. And we're going to cover the transfer window. Deadline day was yesterday, so we've kind of waited till the Tuesday to record just to cover if there was any ingoings, outgoings, which there was a couple of surprises about that we weren't expecting, I suppose. And we'll cover what we're kind of thought about the transfer window. And Kev's going to do a deep dive about Oyegoki going to Hellas Verona after some feedback he received on Kickback as well.
Who is Oyegoki? Is it Oyegoki or Oyegoki? Oyegoki? I don't know. Anyway, don't have to worry about it. He's no longer part of the club. But I'll still bring him up as often as I possibly can.
It's just an age thing, Kev. You can't getting the name wrong.
I'm fucking right.
There we go. But aye, obviously, yeah, we'll kick right into it. I've not even asked how you are, but will you say positive? I'm just keeping it that way. I know you're ill, so I don't want to bring any negativity to the podcast, and we'll move on.
That's fine.
Yep, cool. Aye, last day of the window. What is it? The biggest cliche in world football is the transfer window slam shut. And yesterday we ended up with a new arrival, an outgoing, and a loan move for one of the youngsters as well. So, suppose we will start Boateng. I think the news kind of broken that. Was that first? It doesn't really matter, but we'll talk about Boateng. Obviously, with his move to Championship club Plymouth Argyle. Bit of surprise, but he's not really been fancied the last few weeks. Were you shocked or anything like that?
I think what you've got to understand is there's now a structure in place within the club with Jamestown being part of the overall ins and outs and everything else that goes on with the recruitment within the club itself. I think what you could look at is, and I was trying to remember last night and I meant to go and have a look, but the Plymouth of course they sacked Rooney back in November time. They brought in the boy Muslic, which was the manager of Cercle Bruges when we played them back in November. And I was wondering if, had Boateng made such an impression on him that he thought that was the guy that he wanted in to spearhead or anchor his midfield. I doubt it, but hey, let's not spoil a good story.
Maybe no based on that game, but they probably have watched quite a bit of video coverage, done their homework. So made an impression, but apparently we've made a profit. Apparently, as if Twitter's to be believed. So you know what? He hadn't played I don't think he played this year, had he? Or started this year anyway?
I don't think so. I don't think he's played much this year. When I say much, I'm just talking like it was all mainly substitution appearances. Yep. So from that point of view, I would say probably maybe a game in 90 minutes in the whole year.
Yeah, and I suppose you've got Noonhoff coming back, you've got Khartoum signed, you've got Devlin looking like he's undroppable at the moment. And yeah, it's probably he's dropped down that pecking order quite a bit. all going well. So, you know what? You probably take the offer now, an offer that might not come in the summer. Yeah,
Exactly.
move on,
Yeah.
and then try and get better, as we spoke about with the Jamestown stuff as well. So, and then it's probably a bit of surprise as well, but everything I've seen in terms of people that actually know him, I don't know much about the boy, but 28-year-old Harry Milne signing from Partick Thistle. For me, Penrice is obviously brilliant, and he's been probably our best player of the season, certainly so far. Cabango's going to be running him for his money as far as I'm concerned at the moment. But we probably need a bit of cover at the left back area, so Harry Milne probably made sense.
Yeah, I mean, it is a bit, let's be honest, it's a bit left field. Nobody really will know much about. If you're like me anyway, right, you won't know a great deal about players at any other club out with your own, right? And to say regards to somebody in the Championship, the likelihood is you've never even heard of the guy. I knew I hadn't when the sort of news broke on, what was that, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, there was an interest in him. So, by all accounts, and from what I've read within social media, within just the media in general, would appear that he's got a half decent calibre about him. Few fans within Partick Thistle believing that they're player of the year so far, or player of the season so far. So it's a good purchase, by all accounts. Good to get in cover for Penrice, because that was one area that you would say we were short of. I know that Drysdale's gone in the opposite direction, but hadn't had any first team experience. So it's a good, it's a good thing for him to go across to Firhill, and get that experience, and maybe come back. Because you might actually look at like an 18-month deal for him. I'm not saying he'll go back to Partick Thistle next year, but you'll be looking at maybe 18-month worth of first team action before you really start to look at bringing him in, to the first team, if he is good enough. And this is the big thing. This is the aspect that we've all spoken about on numerous occasions, is these lads have all been given an opportunity within the setup at the club. They now have to show it when they get the opportunities, whether that be at Tynecastle or whether they be that elsewhere.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's actually quite a logical signing as well. Like, we could take a punt on somebody that, I don't know, use Salazar, for example. Comes all the way for Colombia, plays twice, doesn't really do anything. He's taking a punt and clearly doesn't fancy it. Whereas Milne, he'll know the game, he'll know what he's up against, he knows the expectations. And to be honest with you, he looked genuinely buzzing in his interview to be signing with a club at Hearts. Apparently, they were saying on Sky, he was a bartender, part-time football, what was it, 5 years ago, if that, at Cove.
Yeah, the Cove Rangers.
Yeah. So, you know what, I'm happy with it. Yeah, people that know Championship football or whatever. I've watched a few Friday night games and I can't really say I remember them, but that's probably on me because it's a Friday night and that tends to be when you crack open a few of the beers or whatever. And so don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's like we'll go on to talk about the other signings that we've made this January. It's one of them we don't really know until you actually see them in the flesh, in the setup within the team, to understand what position they're going to be playing, what is their role within the team. Has he been brought in to act as cover not only for Penrice but also for McCart, for example? That's the kind of thing you've got to look at. Yeah, you can be a great player in another club or another place, country, league setup. Not everybody can come into the Scottish game and hit the ground running. You don't get much time on the ball. You have to have a bit about you. You have to have pace. You have to have strength. All that kind of stuff becomes really important. And if you don't have it, then there's a lot of players that just don't make it in Scotland. MD was about last night, watched the Chelsea West Ham match. Andy Irving, I didn't have a problem with him. There was times you thought give him a bit more time. But even when he had a bit more time, some of he just at that point in his career didn't have the strength to manage that midfield.
Yep.
And then he goes on, plays in Austria, plays in Germany, plays for West Ham.
To be honest, Kev, I don't think anyone could see that trajectory that Andy Alron's had. So it's a bit nuts. I could.
100%.
I was a bit. It was one of those ones I think we all said it when he left. It was like you were wasting yourself or whatever. Going to third division German side. So
it's worked.
It's
worked for him, right? That's the best thing about it.
Fans singing his name as well. I think obviously he's a bit of a joke figure because the West Ham never even announced his signing or whatever. But yeah, fair play to the lad, definitely. You touched it. Drysdale went the other way. I suppose we've only seen him. I didn't even see him. I wasn't at the pre-season friendly where he had to go off. But at that point in his career, when he's 18 or something, he's just going to have to be playing games, so it makes sense to go out.
Right. Yeah, exactly that.
And we've obviously just stole their starting left back, so makes complete sense there.
You've got to. Sorry, I was going to say you've got to make sure that he gets the chance to mature while he's playing. That's a big part of going out to championship clubs, and you just hope that he's got that capability and he's got that in his locker.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose it's a big test. It's always one of those ones. You never really know how these loans go. Talking of Friday night games I watched, and we're going to touch on it as well, but Tate looked decent on for the Livingston Falkirk game the other night there. One of those ones that's a bit hard to judge, but he looked all right, but we'll see how he gets on as well.
Another that maybe falls into the same category as Irvine, in that he is quite lightweight. I know he's got great ball technique and he can pass a ball. It might be the same situation for him, is that he'd actually be better suited for another league. You know, you look at, and I'm not putting the two of them in the same category whatsoever. You look at your Zabis and your Iniestas, they weren't big guys, right? But you get a little bit more time on the ball in Spain than you do in Scotland. It's just the nature of the game within that particular country. It may be that, you know, he has that opportunity and that ability to do that. I know the young lad, McDonald, for example, a couple of seasons back, he went out to Spain. I don't know what happened to him. I know he went to Inverness and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, these are the kind of things that I think if you've got the opportunity and the chance to do so, go and experience it.
100%. I genuinely cannot remember him going to. I think he was, playing with Brecon now as well.
Possibly, but he did go out to Spain.
Played 0 games.
Played with Cadiz or something like
that. Cordoba, so close enough. Yeah.
Can't wait to see. Same shit.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know where that is on the map, mind you. So obviously January window is over. Ends, we've had McCart, Kabangu, Khartoum, Steinwender, Milne. Obviously, we've only seen 2 of them so far, but happy enough with them. Then we've got Rills to DC, Oyegoki to Hellas Verona, Boyce to Derry, Salazar went back to his Colombian side, Tate on loan to Livy, and obviously then finally Boateng to Plymouth. Would you rate it then, Kev? You happy? Is that what you wanted going into the window?
Yeah, I think everybody, if you look at it, everybody's commented on the fact that what we needed to do in the window was strengthen our defence and improve our front line. We've done that. Yes, okay, Steinwender and Khartoum we've not really seen yet. Steinwender came on for the last 7 minutes or something like that, 6 minutes on Saturday. And yeah, got yourself involved, which I was quite keen to see, which is great. But we've done everything we wanted to do. Yes, it would have been good to maybe get rid of some of the players, and we all know who those particular individuals and players are, right? It would have been good to get rid of them. However, what you've got to remember and you've got to understand is, in this particular window, with a number of these players out of contract in this summer, 1 or 2 out of contract till next summer, who's going to come along and pay money for them?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Unless we were willing to say, right, we'll actually, you don't have to bother, we'll cut your contract up 6 months early and you can go and play for 6 months with whichever club may be interested in you. But again, if you're not playing, then it's a big ask on your agent to make sure that, that your agent is putting you in the shop window and saying that you're available if they meet a particular, requirement, a standard, whatever it may be. So, interesting.
So, what we're saying is we fully expect Barry Mackay to be away in the summer, but he's happy to
I think
take
you've got
his
to.
however much wage at the moment because he's not going to get that anywhere else. That's probably it.
Yeah.
You might see Oda move on because I noticed I had a wee look the day the
Japanese windows
Japanese.
doesn't close till next month.
Exactly. It only
Or
opened
the
on
end
the
of this month, I think it is.
24th or something now, so
Aye, aye.
it's a bit later.
Yeah, I mean, again, that comes down to how good's his agent. Is his agent able to negotiate a transfer back to Japan, which might be his preference? I think there's a couple of other leagues that are still their windows are still open. What can the agent do?
Yep.
But again, Critchley's been very open and honest in regards to these players. Is that he's not closing the door in their face. He's saying there's still an opportunity there. But what you've got to understand is you've got to show that in your training. You've got to show that on the training pitch that you are keen and you want to get back in the team and you are good enough to get back in the team. Because let's be honest, who's in front of Oda, for example, at the moment? So you've got Vargas, who could play out there. You've got Musa, who can play out there. Cartoon could play out there. There's a number of players in front of him at the moment. So he's got to show up in training to say, look, I'm better than these guys. I can do this. I can do that. I can do the next thing.
Yeah, so I'm off the same as you, Kev. I think it's a good window. We got rid of bodies, and we also got money for players. Like it's Hearts. We've not really seen a lot of transfer fees in the past couple of few seasons. And I think I've seen a breakdown, and it is all rumours at the end of the day because we don't know how much we've paid for people, we don't know how much we've lost them for. But if the rumours are to be believed, we've essentially made a profit. Which
I mean, I get it, right? As fans, you want to know how much money you've brought in regards to your outgoings. I think we know that it was roughly around 600 k for Rowles to go to DC United. I think there's also a sort of percentage of any forward on sales as well there. I don't see him moving on hugely. He might move on within the MLS itself, but I don't see him coming back to Europe. Let's put it that way. Same with Ogie Koki. I think there's an actual bit in the contract in regards to him moving on. Then again, it's a percentage of sales. Sale value will come back to the club. That's how you make money. That's how you've got to be, savvy in regards to how the contract is written up.
Sorry, lost you.
All right, no, that was me finished, mate.
I thought you were just coughing. So, aye, and then you got to assume the same with Boateng as well. If he was to then move on as well, though, I would be very surprised if we're writing these deals without some sort of, I don't know.
Correct. Even if it's only a small 5%, 10%, it's still something that's coming through the door. It's coming back into the accounts, and then from that point of view, as you mentioned earlier on, you take that money, you reinvest it in better players. I think we spoke about it. Yeah, we spoke about it though. That there's other elements to that. It's not just about buying players for more money. It's also about changing your actual wage structure.
Yep.
You're not going to go and spend £1 million on a player and then only pay him £4,000 a week. It doesn't work that way. So there's a number of elements around how you actually improve not only your playing staff, you've also got to improve, the structure and how you actually appreciate those kind of players. So it might be that actually what we do is we give a base level monthly fee from a wage point of view, and then there's add-ons, goals, assists, there's win bonuses, all that kind of stuff has to be looked at so that it becomes more in line with other clubs who are offering the same kind of money for an individual player.
Yeah, 100%. You're basically talking in this league at the moment. It's Aberdeen Hibs, and we need to compete with them. And if it's if it could come down to wages, or is it a fact that we are picking players from they don't have access to with the Jamestown model? You never know. But
a number of elements that you've got to look at now. But we're moving in the right direction, and it's all about small gains. We've spoken enough times around Tony Bloom and the way Tony Bloom operates as an individual, and that's in the gambling world. Small wins, small gains. Yes, you might get lucky and you'll get a win at the poker, which you pocket 50 grand and which is 10 times or 50 times more than you would normally get on a Thursday night, or whatever poker league kind of idea. And I know perfectly well he's probably pulling in more than that. But where you're bringing him that kind of money, you pocket it. You use it for another night. Instead of maybe playing poker once a week, can play poker twice a week.
Yeah.
Same element.
So, as we've both said, pretty relatively positive after the window, and even more positive, I suppose, and it's probably helped after our 6-0 win away from home. What was it last time? Was the 80s? Was that right? Did I read that?
Something along those lines. Yeah, I do remember we beat St Mirren at Love Street away back in, God knows, must have been about 87, maybe 88 or something like that. They were still playing at Love Street, so that shows you how long ago it was. John Cahoon scored a hat-trick that day. Wayne Foster, John Robertson, and Gary Mackay, I think, are the goal scorers for the game. Off the top of my head.
I wasn't even born. Just add that in. Nah. But I think it's probably, we'll both say, unexpected.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Were you up in Dundee, or did you have enough of seeing us get beat up there?
It was more the trauma that I've got about going to Dens Park. And that's not because it's Dens Park, it's mainly because the last time I was there I had to take you up in the car, and that was just torture enough.
You went earlier this season without me, just to clarify.
No, I didn't go this season.
Oh, did you not? I thought you did.
I was there at the end of last season though when Shanklin scored and brought us back for the 2-0 down. But I never took the car that day, so that's the reason why, mate.
So you're looking after yourself?
Aye. But no, I think you're right. And I don't think anybody with all their marbles would have generally said that they could see us winning 6-0 away from home at Dundee, at a ground where we had played earlier on in the season and hadn't played particularly well. I appreciate that that's at a different time and under different management, etc., etc. But yeah, I don't think anybody would have predicted 6-0 on their coupon on Saturday. That's for sure.
Yeah, I genuinely would have took a draw before the game. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I would have took a draw just because of what, as you say, they were on a decent run as well. Won the derby, good game against Rangers, good game with Celtic.
Aye, they're definitely a team that can play football, which gives you a chance at every game. Do you know what I mean? No matter what your opponent or who your opponent is. I just think we started off really, really well on Saturday.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's just one of those things that kind of felt like the chances we were taking, well, we were taking the chances, good quality goals all round. We'll go through sort of each of them and how they are, but they're all quality goals. They're all good chances created. And then there could have been another.
It could have been quite easily another two or three. Forrest has a good chance. Vargas decision making again but the keeper's made a half decent save. The keeper's made a good save from Cabangu before his goal, with the top of his arm more than anything else. Shanklin's had a header before he scored, where the keeper's he got his hand up towards the bar to get it. And I think we hit the bar as well. Remember, was it?
We did.
Devlin hit
deflection,
the bar. It was a deflection. But you're right. These kind of things, sometimes just need to fall for you. You would rather win 6-0 and talk about those ones that we missed or the keeper made a good save from, rather than draw 0-0 and say we should have won because of these opportunities. But each of the ones
we've said that all season.
We have, and Corbett said it probably 3-4 weeks ago when he was last on, that somebody's going to take a battering. And that was Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. And to be honest, I think the difference in our finishing was probably summed up with the first goal as well, where Shanklin, that looked like exactly what Shanklin for last season would do. And he took it on the half turn and put in the bottom corner. And we seen him score that goal multiple times. And that probably sums it up, to be honest.
Yeah, he's, to me, out of all the goals actually on Saturday, that's the one that stands out. It was very reminiscent, as you rightly say, of last season. I think he definitely scored one against St Mirren last season that was quite similar, but he's put it in the top corner on that occasion. Saturday, it was about first touch, sets himself up, moves his feet, bottom corner, great finish, great goal. Everything you expect to Shanklin and everything that we've maybe not seen so far this season. Appreciate he scored, against Dundee at home on the last game, but you've got to say that, does that have something to do with him having a wee bit of time off? The people who are actually playing around him, there's a new standard within the club. So yeah, let's hope that Shankland can push on and really, do the things that we expect of him for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, 100%. I actually agree. I think it is down to personnel, bit of time out. We're not so reliant on him because, as we'll discuss, we've got another striker who seems a bit infectious in the way that he's playing and the way that he's getting involved, and it gives Shankland that role to play where we've seen him be so successful. It's kind of not the number 9, the out and out number 9. It's playing that sort of in the gap, not the full striker, and actually creating goals as well as scoring them. And yeah, he probably took that chance in a way, partly to do with the break, partly to do with he's not thinking, oh, I need to put this in the top bag. He's just, yeah, going for it.
Yeah.
And you're saying you were impressed with the first goal, but surely Blair Spittle's finish Saturday has to go up there. It's
I get where people are coming from, but no, not really, because that's what you expect of Spittle now. Do you know what I mean? How was it any different to any other goal he scored this season? You look at the goal he scored in Europe, very similar, was with the other foot and more of a snap shot as such. He scored a number of goals that are very, very similar. And yes, it's a great finish. Or another great finish from Spittle. But it's got to that point now where that's what you expect of him. That's the level you expect out of him. And I know that Penrice came out after the game and on Sunday and said that actually he wasn't too impressed with his display on Saturday. Him and Spittle didn't have their normal link up like they have done. But that's going to happen at times, pal. That's just the way it is. You can't, you're not going to win every single battle that you go out and play. But the good thing about it is that there was a couple of times he made the run that everybody expects, and he took players away, and that gave opportunity, especially for the first goal. Penrice's run, the boy expects the ball to get rolled into him, and he just takes a sidestep, which created the space for Spittle to play into to Shankland's feet. So there's things like that, but I understand where people come with regards to the finish for Spittle. It was great.
Yeah, you put him against any other than midfielder of ours, and you probably go, that's a belting finish. But then when you put him up against yourself, I actually agree with you. He's got that ability. We've seen it last season with Motherwell. We've seen it this season, and yeah, he's a great signing. He's been, to be honest with you. We've not really had a goal scorer midfielder for a long time, and he's definitely chipping in, isn't he?
He is, and that's you go back to last season. And everybody goes on about how successful we were last season off the back of Shankland's goals. But when you look at Shankland, he scored 32 goals last season. Who was the next? Do you know what I mean? I think you dropped down to maybe Vargas. Where
I think he got 10 actually.
I was going to say, did he make double figures?
Yeah.
So there's aspects like that you've got to look at, and it's great to see Spittle. And others, even Dremy, he's been opportunist for the fourth goal. But what's the keeper doing for that one? But hey, we'll come on to that in a second.
Well, we can skip on a bit, to be honest. You've touched on it. You touched on how well a couple of good saves he's made, but just he's gone moment for that. But
100%. To coin your phrase, the aspect that really baffled me was how can he make the kind of saves that he had made earlier in the game, and then what is a fairly simple and easy cross, he goes up, he collects it and drops it right at what was the defender's feet, and it's moved towards the goal. And Musa, whether it's Musa's goal, I'm glad they've given it to him, to be honest with you. But you could have argued the point that it could have been an own goal as well.
Yeah, I wasn't sure it was at the time.
He scored enough goals for us this season, so it was nice to see Musa get the credit.
I wanted one of our own goals to be leading the way going forward.
Yeah, I was also quite surprised. I was surprised that regards to the boy Carson, how many teams in Scotland he's played for. It's crazy. He's played for Dundee and Dundee United, Motherwell, St Mirren, and maybe Killie.
Oh wow, fair enough.
It's proper crazy how many clubs he's actually played for in the Scottish Premier League. Dundee, St Mirren, Dundee United, Motherwell. So mediocre teams, really. That's what I'm saying.
He's actually, to be honest, though, he's not a bad keeper, and that's what it's probably just one of those things. He's made a mistake on the day. There you go.
Exactly. Can happen to the best of them, as they say.
Aye. We spoke about on goals. Don't know if he's beaten yet. I'm trying to be a seamless link here, Kev, but I don't know if it's working.
Nah. Not even close.
Bijou, obviously double. Suppose first goal. What we've been crying out for someone with pace, movement, strength, and a finish for since Ginelli left, essentially. And yeah, the pass was brilliant for Shankland first of all. But
give him all credit. There's a couple of elements in that third goal that you've got to call out. Firstly, we can be critical of Cammy Devlin, right? But Cammy Devlin breaks up the challenge down in our corner flag. It looks like he actually is going to try and take a dive and go down for a free kick, but he stays on his feet, plays the ball up. Cabangu knocks it inside. Shankland knows perfectly well, and he waits the pass perfectly for Cabangu to run on. I thought he actually had taken one touch too many. I expected Carson to come out quicker than he did.
Yep.
And he's got it there. He's fairly cool. He's fairly collected about it all and knocks it through the keeper's legs. It's great. It's everything, as you rightly say, that we've been calling out for, I'm going to go as far to say probably about 6 or 7 seasons, because we've not had that kind of player. We've not had somebody who can either be an out-and-out number 9, focal point, win headers, be strong, hold the ball up. We did have, of course, Corbett's favourite, Uche. However, he could literally hold the ball up. He used to catch it. But these are the kind of players that it would appear Jamestown can source out. And from after listening to his interview, I want him just to sign. I know there's an obligation there, as I understand it. I don't know what the figures are, etc., etc. But I think it works better. It works for both both parties. Does he work for the club? Does he get the club? Does he get the fans? Does he get everything about us? That appears to be a tick box. Yes, he does. The one thing that maybe doesn't yet, you don't know, is can he settle here? We all talk about Edinburgh being a brilliant place and everything else, but does he feel that? I don't know if he's married. I don't know if he's got a relationship. Whatever. Can he have that in Edinburgh? I would go as far to say probably yes. However, that's something that only he can make that decision on.
Seems to be enjoying it. I did like that interview with Hearts Standard that they put out. Seems like he's enjoyed it basically, and he talked about building relationships with Shankland, with Wilson, with Vargas as well, and it's good to hear that. He does seem to. He seems to kind of like he I don't know how to put it. He seems a bit of a leader on the pitch as well. Like he seemed to like be talking to people, saying this is how I want it, this is where I want it, and which is a good sign. That's exactly what we want. So the quicker he gets relationships, the more goals he scores, better is for him.
I watched this is going off on a tangent, I must admit, but you'll understand when I get it. I watched a little clip the other night there in regards to Thierry Henry. And Thierry Henry spoke about how guys like Freddie Ljungberg, when he played with him at Arsenal, would never pass the ball to him. But it was all because he didn't understand how Freddie Ljungberg wanted to play the game. He was happy to run at defenders with the ball at his feet, beat a couple of players, and then put the ball in. Whereas, he spoke about Perez like that 1-2 element. Dennis Bergkamp, as far as Henry was concerned, he just needed to find space, and Dennis Bergkamp would put the ball at his feet. It's about creating those kind of relationships and creating an understanding of how other players in the team play football to make sure that you get the best out of yourself. And that's exactly what Cabangu looks like he's trying to do at this moment in time, which I think is massive. And if you think about the games that he's currently played for us, his first game was Aberdeen. He came on against Aberdeen, had the chance to score with a header and a shot. I think the header just went over the bar, I think, and the shot had been saved by the keeper.
Aye, and he also had an option with it. He took a dive.
Aye, he did. And he wanted to, according to Critchley, he also wanted to take the penalty that day. That goes in, you're winning that game. He then plays against Brecon. Okay, there's a different standard there. I fully appreciate, but that pitch was terrible. But he still was able to. I'm not saying master it, but he was able to get goals there. He's then, went on the back of that game, playing against Kelly at home, scores there, and then of course he gets his 2 goals on Saturday. It's pointing in the right direction of somebody who's happy where he is playing football, and if that continues into the remainder of the season and next season, fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, 5 goals in 4 games. Well, 3 games really. Yeah, 4, but brilliant. And you touched on it there, Kev. I've got it written down, but Cammy Devlin was brilliant on Saturday. Like, he's been really decent. We're the first to probably point out his deficiencies, but seems to be certainly working on some parts of them. And to be honest with you, in terms of defensively, can't really think any better in the league, and that's going to be a bold statement, but in terms of winning the ball and recycling it on, I can't really think anyone.
There's not many players in the Premier League at the moment that do what he does, but we have said it over and over and over again. Don't try and create something that's never going to be there, right? You talk about you talk about wanting him to play in the 10. He's never that player. You want him to play in the 8, as they call it. He's never that player either, right? He's that 6, if you want to look at it as a number. He's that 6 who is going to break up their attack, where you need a little bit of niggle, a little bit of determination to win the ball back, be tenacious. He is that player. He then needs to have somebody alongside him, whoever that may be, that can then take the ball off him and see passes.
Yeah,
that's what you're looking for. So stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stop trying to reinvent Cammy Devlin. Let Cammy Devlin do what Cammy Devlin does, but then don't ask him to do other things on top of it. That's where you get problems.
I think that's probably the interesting thing with Critchley. He's playing these sort of high fullbacks and your sort of narrower wide players, and it means that if, for example, we're playing 2 6s like Benny and Devlin, they get the ball and they move it to somebody else who's going to either run at pace or put it across or pass the ball better than them or take a shot in Spittle's case. So it's exactly that. And it's quite. I quite like the way, the sort of fluidity of the way it's working, and yeah,
I think you're right. I think if that's the way he's wanting to set it up, and going by all accounts of some of the discussion points or the names that were driven about or spoken about during the January transfer window, was about bringing in wingers with pace. If you're going to play with 2 sitting midfielders like a Cammy Devlin and a Benny, Cammy Devlin and let's say Khartoum, we don't really know what role he is going to play. Well, the sound of things is he's going to be playing more on the right hand side of the pitch. But if that's how you want to play the game, then you've just got to make sure that Cammy Devlin can see the players, or the players that are on that side of the pitch where he is are making themselves available for him on 5-10 yard passes, and they have that capability. They have the confidence in themselves to go ahead and make long runs, passes, whatever. So yeah, positives.
totally. And I suppose what happened in the rest of the game, obviously subs came on. It makes a difference as well, just having quality on the bench. We've got a few injuries, but we're still bringing on, obviously, Simon Wender come on for last sort of few minutes. Forrest came on, Vargas came on, Wilson came on, Danda came on, but they all don't know if it was because it was one of those days, but they all seem to also create chances, also be involved, and it might just be a case that we're seeing more competition, so when these players come on, they're like, oh, I need to make an impression more as well.
Oh, I'd like somebody to tell Yandanda that. The boy. We again. I don't want to shoot him down in flames or anything like that. But we all know he's got capabilities and he's got that aspect in his game.
It's probably technically one of the best players in the squad in terms of technique and ability. But we've spoken about Barry Mackay for years, and that's similar.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing. I think there was a lot of expectation on Dando's shoulders, and I said this before, probably around about October, November time. I don't think the interview he done after the Rangers game helped him.
Nope.
I think, we all know that there is a family association with the club. And it was great to hear him come out and say things, and it definitely got fans on his side. So that in itself is a positive for him. But I think he should have, again, this is just me, a lad that played football up until he was 17, 18, and then decided that, no, I quite enjoy beer and women and good food, and I could play fives instead. But, you look at, I've got it in you, just go and give us a little bit more. So
Yeah.
hopefully he kicks on. With the good players around about him. But I do like Steinwender. I love the fact he was a corner at the end of the game. We're 5-0 up at that point, and he still wants to get his cell on the end of crosses, and he even started lashing one for probably about 8 yards, and he put it about 10 yards past. But anyway, we'll let him off at the moment.
Yeah, let him off. And to be fair, the header was a good opportunity anyway.
Yeah.
Probably could have scored. Be interested to see what we do with him because Nielsen, to be honest with you, I thought against Kelly, I didn't think he was up to it. But at the weekend there, no complaints for me. I know you're shaking your head, but he didn't really have much to do, but what he done was acceptable.
Nielsen, in my opinion, if Nielsen is up against a physical forward, like Murray, for example, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt in that game against Kilmarnock. I was quite critical of him, but that was his first game with that team. But all in all, I thought some of his passing and other elements did frustrate me, if I'm being honest. But looking back on it, as I say, it was his first time, his first game for Hearts, and Christ knows how long. Whereas on Saturday, he was up against Murray. Murray's strong, Nielsen's strong. I'd be interested to see what would happen if he came up against somebody who's got pace, somebody who's got a wee bit of creativity about him and can run with the ball at his feet. That's where you might find that he's maybe just a little bit short of.
I think you're kind of describing the St Mirren strikers, aren't you?
Well, I'm not going to say it, but that could be seamless into what we're going to discuss next.
Yeah. The only thing we've missed is Vargas' goal, but to be fair to the lad, took it well after we've questioned the decision making. So 6-0.
I think 90% of the Dundee support also missed Vargas' goal because they were already halfway down the road.
Yeah, fair enough. To be honest, I wouldn't have been there for the fifth if it was me. So yeah, fair play to them.
Is that because you'd be at the toilet?
Aye, but also any excuse to go early, as always. But aye, that was. I've messed it up being seamless, but 6-0, I think it's one of those things. And to be honest with you, I just wanted to touch on it as well, but Fritz coming out and saying that we could have been past the ball better, could have been better on the ball. I think he's spot on as well, which seems mental to say when we're 6-0 winners, but
yeah,
aye, fair play to him.
And it's a good time to call these kind of things out. Like we've said before, it's a good time to call out VAR decisions or the quality of the referee in games where you've won rather than games where you've lost or drawn the game and there's been a controversial decision. It's better to call them out at that time when things are good.
It's a good point. Absolutely. So Scottish Cup weekend this weekend, Monday night, which is a bit pish. Not really a fan of that.
It's all for TV, but we've sold it.
Seen that, and it was a high threshold as well, wasn't it?
It was. I think it went to 90 points, so 90 points or more in the loyalty scheme would give you the opportunity to purchase a ticket from, I think it was 2:00 this afternoon. I don't think they were on sale for very long before all tickets were gone. So another, great travel and support. Appreciate that end, isn't it?
Oh, Kev's dying again. Apologies.
It's not the biggest of stands, but we've shown up in numbers.
Yeah, I thought you were just being like having the bucket thinking of Paisley and that end of the stadium, but just a wee cough instead. That's fine. But it'll be interesting, I suppose. St Mirren seem a bit of a weird team this year in terms of the results. What did they get beat off? Oh, they played St Johnstone.
Johnstone got beat 1-0.
Yeah, and then
shout out to the St Johnstone old man that was giving it big fuck you to all of St Mirren fans that he could point his 2 fingers at. I love that kind of shit. I
love it. Just two big, like, two-hander as well.
Aye, it was a two-hander. Absolutely perfect. So shout out to that lad. I don't expect him to be listening, but if he is, hats off, mate.
Yeah. He'll be busy on his tractor tomorrow morning or something like that, you know. So
probably.
But what are you thinking for? We're on the same points as them now, are we, in the league? I think
point behind.
We've got better.
I think we're point behind.
Probably something like that. But they're in and around where we are, like every team. 80% of the league is.
No, they are. They're on the same points as us, 30 points. But we've got a better goal difference, goals scored than what they have. Nice. I think it will be a tight game. I think everybody associated to the club expects it to be a tight game. How it turns out is down to the actual players that are selected for Monday night. My opinion, you don't change a winning team. Ando says it every single time. So I wouldn't change anything. The only one that you maybe look at is left back and in centre half. Do you change Nielsen for Steinwender? Do you change Forrester for
right back,
Taylor?
I was going to say, why are you changing the left back?
Aye, sorry, right back. Do you change Forrester for Taylor? But I appreciate that Taylor's not. I mean, he came on against I think it was Kelly the other week there. Got a run out, but do you keep it?
I find that a bit weird. Didn't chuck him on at the weekend? Obviously, he's trying to get minutes in his legs. Even Neuenhoff, I just found that a bit weird. But you know what? It worked because we still carried on and scored more goals. But you would think game was relatively over. But I thought they too could have came on.
Aye, I wouldn't have been surprised to see them come on. I think Critchley came out after the game and said that he chose Neuenhoff to be part of the team over Grant and gave Grant the sort of day off effectively.
Yeah.
Because he wanted him to be part of the team. I don't know if that was, I'm not saying misconstrued, but I don't know if that was picked up wrongly by some fans thinking that he wanted him to be part of the team because he wanted to put him on the park, or actually he wanted him to be part of the team to come away, to sit on the bench, to get that kind of match day experience back in his bones again, before actually starting to bring him on with 5-10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, and give him a run out and get legs in his broken bones.
Yeah, he's probably forgot what it's like to be at a match day squad. So after being out for however long it was, so I get it, I suppose, when you put it like that. So we'll see. I find it a hard one to predict on Monday. So I'll let you answer first. What you think?
Thanks. Cheers for that. I'm going to go. It's going to be tight. St Mirren, we all know. Gogic will turn up. He will be premium Zidane. Hopefully Cabangu can ruffle him up a wee bit. And ideally, I hope somebody gives him a good kick, because I also hate the fact he wears his socks so low and those daft little shin guards. So hopefully somebody can... Actually, can we get one of his own team members to kick him in the shins? That would be even funnier. So I think it will be tight. I would like to keep a clean sheet and come away with a 1-0 or a 2-0 victory. That would be ideal. But like any cup game, it's all about getting yourself into the next round. That's the be all and end all. So I don't care what the result is, as long as we are through and into the next round of the cup as of Monday night at 10 o'clock.
Agreed. I think it's a hard one to predict, but as long as we're in the hat, and
that's it. That's all you want.
Exactly. So nice one, Kev. I don't think we've got much else to talk about.
No, nice and quick, compact and bijou. I believe is the phrase. So there you go.
Yeah, didn't know you spoke French or whatever. No, I don't know.
The idea, mate.
Aye, but cheers for coming on. I suppose it's just when we're a bit positive like this, there's no much to be negative and go off and rant about. So
exactly, mate. Exactly that, and that's probably, as I say, you rightly say, why Ando and Corbett. They told us it was business and they had work to do and bits and pieces like that. Bullshit. I'm going to call it bullshit. They just didn't want to come on and be positive.
I get it. But nice one, Kev. We'll catch up when next week. I'm not going to say it, actually. Doesn't matter. See you later.
See you later, mate.
Go, get up.